Hi, I'm Ken Levine, the creative director of Rational Games, and we're here today to show you a little bit of Bioshock. And we had a great E3 this year with Bioshock, and this is our first chance to show you, the gamers, and what we're trying to do. Well, what are we trying to do? It's pretty ambitious. What we're trying to do is to redefine what it means to be a first-person shooter. Our goal is to put a stake in the heart of all those cliches you've been playing for years in first-person shooters. The linear corridors, the very static environments, and the cookie-cutter AIs. Now, we understand that's a pretty lofty goal, and it's really going to be up to you guys to decide whether we succeed. But with that said, let's go to the world of Rapture and take a look at Bioshock. Welcome to Rapture. Rapture is an underwater utopia built by a bunch of dreamers who decided to get away from what they saw as a world falling apart in the late 1940s, after World War II. They wanted to be free of the threat of governments and the nuclear bomb that hung over everybody's head, and the religious powers that be that tried to tell them what kind of lives to live. So they decided to build this beautiful utopia, the city under the water, so they could try out these philosophies. Now, Rapture was filled by incredible people, the most incredible scientists, architects. It's a place of extraordinary people, but when you come down to Rapture, you see a world that's fallen apart. One of the things we tried to do is to redefine what AIs can do in first-person shooters, and the way we tried to do that is by giving them unique and incredible relationships that you haven't seen in other games. With that said, let's take a look at one of the first AIs we're going to show you in Bioshock. Now, if you step forward, as Joe steps forward here, you'll hear the approaching footsteps of a Big Daddy. Now, the Big Daddies won't bother you if you don't bother them. They're genetically modified protectors of characters we call the Little Sisters. And the Little Sisters live in these vents you see over here. Now, what does a Little Sister do? The most important resource in the world of Rapture is something called Adam. The genetic material that powers all the genetic mutations that gives everybody their incredible powers in Bioshock. Here comes the Little Sister. Now, her job is to go around the world and find the only source of this Adam, this genetic material. And where does she find it from? Well, you're about to find out. But Joe, don't get too close to her. Whoa, Joe got a little too close to her. You see, she gets terrified and she runs behind her protector, the Big Daddy, who warns you off. Okay. Now, if you step back, if you get too close, he'll push you back. But now, if you step back, he won't fight you. He'll just warn you up. You see, to stay away from her. Okay, so let's step back, Joe, and let them go about their business. Now, what is her business? Her job is to find Adam, and she finds it where?
Look, Mr. Bubbles, Adam!
In the dead bodies that populate the city. And you can see how she gets it out of these bodies. Through this tool she has. Now, but the Atom's inert, and it needs to be recycled to be brought back to life. How does she do that? In her own body. Okay, so now the question you have is, do you exploit this little girl like the world has exploited them and take the Atom from her by force?
Come on, let's go!
Or do you find another way to get Adam, maybe even by helping these little girls? Up to the player to decide. We don't make those moral choices for the player. We leave it up to them. You'll even find opportunities later on to become the protectors, maybe, of these little girls through genetic modification, or even have the Big Daddies think you're the Little Sisters, and they'll protect you. Manipulating the eyes, working with the eyes, exploiting the eyes is a huge part of this game. Now, another part of this game is the fact that the player is always starving for resources, always on the search for resources. And right now, Joe doesn't have any ammo for his gun. So he's going to head in the store and see if he can find some ammo. It's a little dark in this store, so let's turn on the light. Oh, but Joe seems to have activated this turret. Joe, let's head behind the counter, get some cover. Well, this turret's taking chunks out of him. Watch out, step down. You can see everything in the world of Bioshock is interactive. Every bottle, every cash register, everything. You can even drink the alcohol from the bottles, and that will have an effect on him in the game. Now he's